Hello, boys and girls. It's Carnal once again, and today we're going to be discussing family. Now, this is one of my stronger topics, but I have noticed in discussing the family in conservative or right-wing forums that we are determined, but we're not necessarily united, nor do we have a fundamental understanding about why the family or family values are worth fighting for in the first place. And that's frustrating. That's infuriating to no end. And it's because conservative values and paradigms like the family do deserve to be more than just what the left would call quote-unquote reactionary sentiments. We should not be discussing family values and the family structure in terms of simply our gut feelings, or even worse, a dream about a days long past. When we discuss the family, when we discuss family values, when we discuss how we wish society to be structured, it cannot simply be an ideal set on our whimsy, in our minds. It needs to be something solid and concrete, something that you can rely upon time and time again. And that is what I find that most of us are lacking. We lack foundational truths to fall upon to advocate for the family. Now, in this video, I'm going to start with my own spiritual fundamental truths. And it's because rooted in those fundamental truths from my own religious perspective. And the reason I'm doing this is because I can't offer you much other perspective other than my own, honestly. And secondly, I find that what I have to offer is sincerely the best synopsis of the importance of family I've ever found, in spite of, other opinions being out there. So we're going to start with one of the formative documents of my faith, and we're going to work from there. If you're not a religious person, please stay tuned. After that, we're going to go over a far more secular breakdown of those values. So this is for the non-religious as well. So please join me for the next section. Now, this first document is titled The Family, a Proclamation to the World, and it was given by the First Presidency and the Council of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This is where I get my fundamental teachings on the family, what it represents, what it looks like, what it consists of, and how it should function in society at large. I find this to be rather concise. I don't find it to be controversial, to put in the slightest. This is common sense. It teaches you very basic fundamental principles about the family, and it's something you can fall back on when trying to defend family values and what the family means to society as a whole. It starts with, "We solemnly proclaim that marriage between a man and a woman is ordained of God, and that the family is central to the Creator's plan for the destiny of His children. All human beings, male and female, are created in the image of God. Each is a beloved spirit, son or daughter of heavenly parents, and as such, each has a divine nature and destiny. Gender is an essential characteristic of individual premortal, mortal, and eternal identity and purpose." We're going to stop right there to really dive into this. all human beings, male and female, are created in the image of God. And this is where we get the idea that individuals matter. And one of the things that we need to recognize as the data keeps rolling in is that families, by and large, with few exception of exceptional outliers, families are required for individuals to flourish, to give them a good foundation upon which to interact with the world around them. Of those communities where there are not fathers, we can see that there is a clear gap between those who have fathers in the home and those who don't. Continuing to the more relevant portions, the first commandment that God gave to Adam and Eve pertained to their potential for parenthood as husband and wife. We declare that God's commandment for his children to multiply and replenish the earth remains in force. We further declare that God has commanded that the sacred powers of procreation are to be employed only between man and woman, lawfully wedded as husband and wife. We in the West, because of things like abortion and a far more modern and materialistic view, are neglecting this commandment and this need. And it's affecting us. It's affecting our birth rates. We are declining as populations because we're not observing the obvious. Now, to the roles of family. Husband and wife have a solemn responsibility to love and care for each other and for their children. Parents have a sacred duty to rear their children in love and righteousness, to provide for their physical and spiritual needs, and to teach them to love and serve one another, observe the commandments of God, and be law-abiding citizens wherever they live. Husbands and wives, mothers and fathers will be held accountable before God for the discharge of these obligations. In other words, children need both parents to teach them right and wrong to be productive and healthy members of society. This is not complicated. Going on. The family is ordained of God. Marriage between man and woman is essential to his eternal plan. This again reinforces the fact that as beings made in the image of God, they have individual worth, and God has given us this system, this formula, this mechanism to promote our own success and goodness. But it goes on. Children are entitled to birth within the bonds of matrimony and to be reared by a father and a mother who honor marital vows, with complete fidelity. Happiness in family life is most likely to be achieved when founded upon the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ. For those of you who are more secular, Western values in a nutshell. By divine design, fathers are to preside over their families in love and righteousness and are responsible to provide the necessities of life and protection for their families. Mothers are primarily responsible for the nurture of their children. In these responsibilities, fathers and mothers are obligated to help one another as equal partners. No shit. Disability, death, or other circumstances may necessitate individual adaptation. Extended families should lend support when needed. And here's the important part. We warn that individuals who violate covenants of chastity, who abuse spouse or offspring, or who fail to fulfill family responsibilities will one day stand accountable before God. Further, we warn that the disintegration of the family will bring upon individuals, communities, and nations the calamities foretold by ancient and modern prophets. We call upon responsible citizens and officers of government everywhere to promote these measures designed to maintain and strengthen the family as the fundamental unit of society. There's nothing controversial here. And this was given in September of 1995. That seems rather timely in my opinion, but none of this, even then, was considered controversial or alarming. Today, it's extremely controversial. Today, even these basic fundamentals, which I would highly recommend you applying to your own argumentation and your own belief structure regarding the family, because when you advocate for these values, they should not be gut-feeling, knee-jerk reactions. You do need a foundation of what is right, what is wrong, what a family is and should look like, and the proper function of it. Now, the calamities foretold by ancient and modern prophets. Every civilization, most civilizations who have been conquered in the ancient world, was done so because they had degenerated into ignoring their basic unit of society. Whether it's the ancient Canaanites sacrificing their children to Moloch and culling their rising generations in the hopes of a seasonal rain, or whether it's modern day abortion, the principle is still the same. If you sacrifice your future for a more comfortable present, you will be conquered by a stronger people. That is an eternal principle. But I did promise you that we would be getting to a more secular explanation of these values. So for those of you who are more secularly minded, for those of you who do not like religious mumbo-jumbo, I offer you my, shall we say, interpretation of what we just read. I called it the order of conservatism, the family. And the family is the order of conservatism. Whether you consider yourself a traditional, a classical liberal, or whether you consider yourself even as far right as a monarchist, monarchy could not exist without the family unit. Royalty does not exist without the family unit. And conservative values surely could not stand without the family unit. Let's start with number one. There is a transcendent moral order that permeates across all human society that is defined by the necessary parts of human survival. Meaning, while most cultures vary greatly in their norms, standards, what they deem to be right and wrong, there are parts of human society that we do hold in common because they're necessary for human survival. In other words, if you do not honor the family or some structure involving that phenomenon, you will not survive. Primary of these necessary parts is the family. The definition of the family is by necessity a union that represents the duality of mankind, being a union of a man and a woman, male and female, which also represents the potential for reproduction and the expansion of the human family. Pretty basic. Number 3. There is an understanding that the family is the primary and foremost economic unit of civilization. And this is true. Most commerce Most economic activity from the baseline to the top is done for the family. Parents purchasing to maintain and support their children. That trend might go down as the population ages and birth rates drop, but that baseline stays the same. 4. The fate of civilization. Its health, its longevity, and prosperity is determined by the reverence that civilization gives to the family. If you don't breed, you will die out and you will be conquered. Economically, if you do not take care of those within your own nation and ensure them opportunities, your population will grow poorer and unhappier. Giving reverence to the family on terms of both foreign and domestic matters is important. 5. It is the role of government to not interfere with the natural, transcendent moral order of the family, and should strive to promote the family at every opportunity. 6. The role of government is to secure the personal intrinsic rights and liberties of individuals, so long as they do not infringe on the natural transcendent moral order of the family. 7. The roles of government and religion shall remain separate and sacrosanct. They shall neither cross, and they shall both be respected. There shall be an understanding that the role of religion is to remind and reinforce the truth that the family is the pinnacle of economic and social good for civilization. 8. Which seems like an odd one out, but I'll explain it. The correct virtue by which to appeal when making decisions in society that will safeguard the liberty and intrinsic rights of all individuals is gratitude. Gratitude will preserve in remembrance the sacrifices of the past. Gratitude will temper the pursuits of the present. Gratitude promotes the sense of duty all have to protect the privileges of the present for the future. Gratitude is a cornerstone of family life, family living, family values, and it's why religions teach you to pray. Prayer is a constant reminder of those things which you are blessed with. Also, you cannot have a proper family structure without reverence, deference, and gratitude from children to their elders. It is because of their elders that they have all that they possess: their food, their shelter, the entertainment. All of these things are gifted from the elders, from the parents to the children. Families ought to be ruled with gratitude, and the nation should follow suit. 9. The inalienable rights of the family shall be the perpetuation of the species, the care and nurture of the youth of civilization. That is an inalienable right of the family. And the protection from the right redefinition of purpose, the redefinition of function, and the redefinition of composition of its defined transcendent moral order. Everything about the family, its purpose, its function, and composition, should be protected by the government in law. Full stop. All other rights not delegated to the family, the right to perpetuate the species, the right to care and nurture for the youth of civilization, and the freedom from the family to be redefined in function, purpose, and composition are reserved for the individual. 10. Government, in its duties to maintain the intrinsic rights and liberties of individuals, is therefore obliged to continually seek to strengthen and multiply the influence of the family in society. And here's where we're going to cut. And I'm going to leave links to the family proclamation in the description, of course. And I just want to add a little end note about advocating for family values going forward. We need to pick determined allies. We need to pick people who know what these values should be, and not just as a gut instinct reaction. We need more than that. Going off of that is not going to be good enough to make any effective change or any effective headway in any sort of direction. And it's not going to be enough to simply say, well, we need to go back to X. That's not going to work either. I'm a little frustrated, though. In fact, I'm a lot frustrated. I'm frustrated because it seems like I'm being asked to side with those who don't really care for family. It's strange because religiously, it's like there's no cohesion in the Christian nation. Christianity is falling apart. And it is embarrassing. It's embarrassing to realize that the primary forces trying to push for family values are the same people that are being maligned as Nazis and racists. And I have decided for myself that this is my line in the sand. I'm serious. I will work and ally myself with anyone working towards these values and principles and willing to fight for the family, regardless of pretty much anything else they claim to believe. That's where I'm at right now. Because the situation is pretty much that desperate. I can't afford to be picky with who my allies are in reinforcing basic family values. That entire document that I read to you, the Proclamation to the World, should not be controversial at any time in history. And yet here we are in a point where it is, you couldn't say these things in public, it seems. So I'm just going to have to say that this is where I stand, that this is my line. This is my hill to die on, and I will take any and everyone willing to help me in this particular fight, regardless of what else the media and mainstream want to call and malign you. And that's it, guys, and I encourage you to do likewise. As always, people, stay carnal and God bless. Peace.